My beloved child, your miracle has already been set in motion, like a quiet yet powerful current leaving its source and moving toward you. Steady and sure with every beat. You may not yet see clear signs, but that does not mean I have not been at work. On deeper levels, beyond what the natural eye can reach, I have already put the necessary elements in place. I have arranged people, opportunities, and timing so that the flow of abundance will move in the right direction. What was once held back by fear, delay, and doubt is now being released not with noise or spectacle, but through my silent and precise power. There were seasons in your life when lack was not only about money, but about the feeling of being pushed into a corner, having to calculate every step, every decision, every dream. I have seen you live under that pressure for far too long. I have seen the nights when you wondered why you kept trying yet still felt short of breath. Why doors seemed to close just as you reached them. But today, I speak to you clearly and decisively. That cycle has come to an end. Not because you have become good enough, nor because you did everything right, but because I have appointed its end. When I declare that it is enough, no circumstance has the authority to prolong hardship any further. The abundance I command does not come merely to fill financial gaps, but to restore your dignity, your peace of mind, and the ability to breathe freely that you lost along your weary journey. But, my beloved, there is something I need you to understand deeply. A miracle is not only something I give, it is also something you must keep. In this world, many breakthroughs are stolen not because the enemy is strong, but because people turn away from the light just as it begins to rise. When I send this message to you, it is not to stir temporary emotions or feed a shallow hope. It is an invitation to stand firm in faith at the very moment when movement is taking place. For if you allow doubt to speak louder than truth, if you treat my word lightly and return to old patterns of thinking, you place what I have prepared into a vulnerable place. The enemy does not need to snatch it away. He only needs you to let go. I am not saying this to frighten you, but to awaken your awareness. There are decisive moments when your posture matters as much as my action. When you choose trust, you are building a protective wall around what is coming. When you choose skepticism, you open cracks you may not even notice. Do not think that turning away must be a dramatic act or an open denial. Sometimes it is simply neglect, stopping gratitude, stopping prayer, stopping the practice of keeping your heart humble and open. And it is within these moments of loosened vigilance that what is most precious can be delayed or damaged. My child, anchor your heart firmly in what I am doing. Do not measure the miracle by speed or appearance, for I am not limited by your framework. The abundance I am leading you into does not always arrive like a sudden downpour. At times it comes as a door opening at just the right moment. An idea illuminated. A relationship that seems ordinary, yet carries a key. When you remain open-hearted and faithful, you will begin to see how each small piece is being woven together into a complete picture far beyond anything you once dared to imagine. Lay down the mindset of one who is always afraid of loss, and clothe yourself with the posture of one who knows they are being cared for. I do not call you into abundance so that you become arrogant or forget your source, but so that you may live more lightly, more generously, and become a channel of blessing to others. When suffering comes to an end, it is not a final period, but the beginning of a new responsibility, the responsibility to live differently, think differently, and believe differently. You are no longer someone who must shrink back in fear of tomorrow. You are someone invited to step forward with calm assurance. knowing that I go before you and guard what is behind you. I want you to grasp this with maturity and depth. Beyond any superficial promise, when I allow a moment to become pivotal, what is attached to it is never just one isolated area. True restoration is always comprehensive. It touches what you can see: finances, work, the body, but it also reaches what you rarely name: peace of mind, the sense of being protected, the ability to sleep without fear of tomorrow. Therefore, do not reduce what I am doing to money or immediate gain. I am unlocking a deeper level of freedom, where you are no longer governed by the fear of lack or by the memory of difficult days. You once lived in a constant state of vigilance, always bracing yourself, always wondering whether everything might collapse again. Those burdens did not always show themselves through tears. Often they took the form of a persistent tightness in your chest, a habit of not daring to hope too much for fear of disappointment. I have seen it all. And today, I am not merely loosening circumstances, I am removing the yoke within your heart. The invisible chains that once held you back, that delayed your joy, are being broken by a power that does not need to put on a display. When I act, I do not need noise to prove it. The outcome will speak for itself. Let me speak to you about protection, because you need to hear this. Your home is not only four walls, and your family is not only bonds of blood. It is the space where your soul finds rest, the place where the deepest wounds are allowed to surface. I know you have prayed not only for yourself, but for those you love, for harmony, for health, for peace to return after long months of strain. I do not take those prayers lightly. My covering does not arrive late, and my healing is not limited by diagnoses or circumstances. When I say that I envelop your family in peace, it is not an abstract idea. It is a new state of being, where conflicts soften and anxieties gradually lose their grip. You may sense within yourself a quiet stirring, not a fleeting excitement, but the awareness that something is changing. That is not your imagination. My spirit often moves before your eyes can see, and in that stirring, I invite you to do something simple yet essential. Do not delay your inward response, not through loud declarations or outward gestures, but through a silent decision to trust and to remain. When you remain with what I am doing, you allow the process to unfold fully, uninterrupted by doubt or fear. Remember this: the freedom I give is not only about having more, it is about no longer being bound. When you are no longer obsessed with lack, you begin to live with an open heart. When fear no longer leads you, you begin to make wiser choices. That is when you realize that the most precious gift I give is not something you hold in your hands, but the way you walk. I am not merely bringing you out of a situation, I am leading you into a new way of life, where peace no longer depends on external circumstances. My beloved child, let these words flow into you like a gentle yet steady stream, soaking through layer after layer of weariness you have carried for so many years. What I am giving you is not only enough to get through each day, but an abundant provision that reaches into the deepest corners of your life, places where you once hid quiet worries and unspoken questions. I do not view your life as a ledger of expenses or a list of debts to be settled. I see you as a journey that has passed through many turns, and this giving is a restoration of dignity, a confirmation that what you have endured has never been meaningless. There are pains you learned to endure in silence, long, restless nights when your mind circled the question, will it ever get better? Mornings when you rose with a heavy heart, yet still forced a smile to move forward. I have seen it all. I have counted every tear you swallowed back, every time you gathered yourself after disappointment, Every moment you wanted to let go but chose to stay. Nothing falls to the ground without my notice. Each of those experiences, bitter as they were, I have stored as treasure, because they reflect a faithfulness and resilience you did not recognize in yourself. You need to understand that divine recompense does not operate by the world's measurements. It does not come merely to even the scales, but to heal, to soothe, to realign what has drifted off center. When I release your reward, I do more than lighten external burdens. I restore to you the sense of being safe, of being honored, of being able to breathe deeply without fear of tomorrow. I know there were times you thought you had lost your way, that the path you chose led only to exhaustion. Yet it was precisely in those slow, heavy steps that I was weaving a foundation stronger than you realized. There were forces that tried to make you falter, nameless noise, relentless upheavals, relationships that pulled at your focus, all designed to draw you away from the center of trust. Fear was amplified to obscure hope. Confusion was sown to fracture your attention. I do not deny those storms, but I want you to see this clearly. You did not abandon your place. You stayed. You stood firm when everything urged you to run. That staying quiet, unremarkable in the eyes of the world, was your answer. Your deep and unspoken yes. And it is something I cherish. I did not lead you this far only to abandon you when you stumble. I did not plant hope in your heart so that it would fade halfway along the road. When I lead all the way through. You may not yet see the shape of what is coming, but you will recognize my fingerprints in the smallest details, a door opening at just the right moment, a solution appearing when you thought there were no options left, a quiet peace arriving unexpectedly in the middle of chaos. These things are not coincidences. They are the heartbeat of provision spreading outward. Let your heart open to receive without interrogating yourself about whether you are worthy. This giving is not a reward for perfection. It is a response to faithfulness carried out in imperfection. When you allow yourself to receive, you also allow healing to take place. When you stop blaming yourself, you create space for peace to dwell. I want you to step into this new season standing upright, not in pride, but in the confidence that you are being upheld. There is one thing I want you to carry with you as you move forward. True abundance does not close you in. It opens you outward. It does not erase the hard days, but it enables you to look back on them with gratitude for how they refined you. From where you stand today, you will become a source of comfort to others, not through hollow advice, but through an understanding presence. It is precisely those old cracks that will become the places where light enters. What I have appointed for you does not lie in a realm that can be negotiated. It does not depend on human opinion, nor is it suspended by temporary judgments. Your breakthrough is not a backup plan. It is an assigned portion. When I speak, I do not wait to see how circumstances will react before I act. I act from my nature, the unchanging one, and for that very reason. What is coming toward you bears the mark of certainty and cannot be reversed. This miracle will not look like what you once imagined. It will not arrive through long, winding delays that exhaust you in waiting. It will come swiftly, not because you are impatient, but because the timing is ripe. There are doors that were once welded shut by fear, prejudice, and even the wrong decisions of the past. You knocked. You pushed. You tried to walk away. Nothing moved. But when I place my hand upon them, what seemed impossible becomes a passage. Not because the metal grew weak, but because the power was greater. I do not need the wall's consent to open a door. I only need the right moment. I know the weight of financial pressure has pressed on your shoulders like a silent accusation. the numbers that repeated themselves in your mind, the calculations that never balanced, the nights when you wondered how to escape that cycle. You carried that sense of helplessness for far too long. But listen carefully, release is not merely the disappearance of debt, it is the loss of fear's authority. When I act, I do not only erase the negative signs in the ledger, I restore your power to choose, returning to you the ability to look ahead without shrinking back. The relief that comes is not so you will squander it, but so you can breathe deeply, freely, gratefully. As for the relationships that were poisoned by lies, I do not take that pain lightly. Some misunderstandings do not arise on their own. They are planted, nurtured, and repeated until suspicion becomes familiar. You watched what was beautiful become stained, trust eroded, and bonds grow rigid under strain. I do not promise that everything will return exactly as it was before, because not everything is meant to return to the past. But I do promise restoration, a place where truth is returned to the center, where words lose their power to wound, where silence is no longer a punishment, but a space for healing. When the light is turned on, darkness does not need to be chased away, it withdraws on its own. You need to know that my power is not confined by the framework of time. What you call too late does not exist in heaven's language. What you call illogical is not a barrier to me. Reason has its place, but it is not the final judge. I do not dismiss your thinking. I invite you to put it in its proper place as a companion, not a controller. When you stop demanding that everything be explained before you trust, you open the door to what lies beyond familiar measurements. Some turning points happen so quickly that you only recognize them after you have passed through. Do not confuse speed with shallowness. Fast does not mean careless. Fast means precise. When every piece has fallen into its proper place, action does not need to linger. You will see that what once seemed random actually fits together with uncanny harmony, a meeting at the right time, an unexpected offer, an opportunity emerging from a place you were not searching. Do not rush to call it luck. Call it by its true name, guidance. My beloved child, if in this moment you sense a quiet warmth settling over your life like an unseen hand, resting gently yet firmly upon you, understand that this is not a passing emotion. It is the sign of an entrustment. The blessing I am opening before you is not a random gift falling from the sky, nor a reward for isolated personal effort. It is a sacred commission, an invitation into a new role. You are about to become an answer to prayers you have never heard, a channel for needs you have never faced directly. I do not give to you so that you may keep it for yourself. I give to you so that you may walk in abundance with purpose. I have seen in you a heart that knows how to open itself, even when you did not have much. There were times when you gave not out of abundance, but because you could not turn away from the needs of others. There were moments when you shared from what little you had, quietly, without drawing attention, without seeking recognition. I have remembered those moments. That very heart, the heart of one who understands that giving does not make them poorer, is the foundation upon which I entrust you with the responsibility of abundance. When I pour in, I know you will not allow the flow to become blocked. You will let it continue outward. The abundance you are about to step into will not take shape only as numbers or possessions. It carries with it a new inner state, a calm assurance that you can respond, that you can support, that you can say yes without trembling. You will discover a joy deeper than personal satisfaction, the joy of seeing another's burden lightened because of your presence. This is a joy that does not fade quickly, because it is anchored in meaning. I do not call you to become a source because I lack the ability to provide. I call you to become a source because I want you to share my nature, the nature of giving. Understand this financial miracle, though it may appear sudden to human eyes, has been prepared for a long time. No turning point appears without a history behind it. Every door that closed in your past was not an ending, but a clearing of space. Every rejection that once discouraged you was not a dismissal of who you are, but a redirection. Every delay that made you restless was in fact a form of protection, keeping you from paths that could have harmed you before you were strong enough. I used all those no's to prepare you for a deeper, fuller yes. You may look back and see what seems like a chain of disconnected events, opportunities that came and went, plans left unfinished, dreams that had to be adjusted. But from my perspective, everything has been woven into an ordered tapestry. The darker threads do not ruin the picture, they create depth. And now, as you stand at the threshold of overflow, you will realize that nothing was wasted. Your experiences, both the stumbles and the lessons, have become the capital with which you will steward what is coming. With wisdom, I want you to prepare your heart not with tension, but with openness. Overflow requires a spacious heart. Do not let the fear of will I be able to hold on to it narrow what I am doing. What I give is not so fragile that it needs to be guarded by anxiety. It is sustained when you anchor yourself in peace and faithfulness. When you live from that center, you will know when to give, when to keep, when to wait. Wisdom does not come from having much, but from listening. You may be surprised by how things unfold, a favor appearing so naturally that outsiders call it luck. A peace spreading so deeply that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself. Yet within you, you will recognize a familiar resonance, my voice. It does not rush you or overwhelm you. It affirms you. It tells you that you are in the right place, at the right time. And in that affirmation, you will walk more lightly, more confidently, not because you have arrived, but because you know you are being led. I also want you to remember that this new role does not require you to become someone else. You do not need to put on a foreign image. I am not changing your essence. I am expanding its reach. The giving heart was there from the beginning. Now I am simply supplying the flow so that it can be expressed more fully. You will give not out of weary sacrifice, but out of willing joy. You will support others, not from obligation, but from deep compassion. I know there have been days when you felt like nothing more than a fragile thread. On those days, your strength faded not because you were weak, but because you had been carrying too much for too long. The enemy took advantage of that exhaustion, whispering that you should let go, that your efforts were leading nowhere. He sowed weariness not to defeat you by force, but to make you quit just before the light broke through. But you did not let go. You held on not with stubbornness, but with a quiet trust that there was still something worth staying for. That trembling grip spoke louder than 1,000 words. And that is why today I speak of reward not as a sudden gift, but as a recognition of your enduring heart. I do not give you wealth alone, for wealth by itself is not enough to keep you standing firm. I give you wisdom, the light that teaches you when to move forward, when to pause, when to give, and when to protect what has been entrusted to you. This wisdom does not make you hardened, it makes you steady. It does not elevate you above others, it helps you understand yourself. When wealth meets wisdom, burdens no longer feel crushing, and responsibility no longer intimidates your heart. Nor do I give you healing alone, for healing without peace leaves wounds vulnerable to returning. I give you enduring peace, a peace that does not dissolve when circumstances shift. It is a peace that knows how to remain when answers have not yet arrived, that knows how to breathe deeply amid the demands of life. that knows how to place the heart into my hands without the need for self-defense. When this peace takes residence, you no longer live in anticipation of the next storm. You live anchored. And from that place of anchoring, you will understand that healing is not merely the absence of pain, but the freedom of living without being ruled by it. I do not restore you simply to return you to who you once were. I give you overflowing joy, a joy not confined by sorrowful memories, not cut short by fear. This joy does not deny what you have lost. It transforms those losses into a foundation for depth. When my joy flows in, it is not loud or performative, it is steadfast, like the light of early morning, strong enough to carry you through the entire day without weariness. My child, I am about to turn your mourning into dancing, not because the past was never painful, but because that pain will no longer set the rhythm of your life. I am about to turn grief into gladness, not by erasing memory, but by placing within it a new meaning. You will look back on the darkest days and realize they shaped you into someone who loves more deeply, understands more broadly, and treasures light more fully. Your new dance is not forgetfulness, it is freedom. Let your heart be at rest concerning your home. The place you return to each day is not left unguarded. Your home is under my protection, not through visible barriers, but through enduring presence. Your family rests within my mercy, not because they are flawless, but because I choose to love. There are things you cannot control within even your closest relationships. Yet I am working where your reach cannot extend. My mercy is not noisy, it is patient. And that very patience is smoothing the sharp edges you cannot soften on your own. Your future is in my hands, not in uncertainty, but in care. You are not required to carry every turning of the road alone. When the path ahead is unclear, it does not mean I am absent. Often it is the moment I guide you in another way, through peace, through quiet confirmations, through doors opening at just the right time. And hear this, so your heart may be at ease. No harm will come near your dwelling, for I have placed watchfulness around you. You are not called to live in tense vigilance. You are invited to live in alert trust. I have set messengers of protection around you, not for display, but for your peace of mind. My blood covers you not as a distant concept, but as an assurance that you belong to me. My spirit strengthens you not so you may run faster than others, but so you may be more enduring than you were yesterday. My word lifts you not with rigid commands, but with truth that enables you to stand upright. And my love for you is not a passing emotion. It does not fail, does not abandon, does not turn away. Therefore, beloved child, when old doubts come knocking, remember that they arrive too late. You have already passed through the hardest part, the season of remaining faithful when results were not yet visible. The blessing that is coming is not meant to test you again, but to affirm you. Receive it with humility and steadiness. Move forward with a new rhythm, the rhythm of peace, wisdom, and joy. And when you look back, you will see that you did not reach this place by your own strength. I was there, every step of the way, without leaving you. I know you more deeply than you know yourself. I know you did not pass through these years by chance, nor do you stand here because of random fortune. You are one I saw long ago, even when human eyes passed over you without pause. When others judged you by appearance, I looked into depth. When others overlooked you because you were not strong enough, not visible enough, not qualified enough, I called your name in the quiet. I loved you in seasons when you could not love yourself, and I carried you in moments when you were too weak to stand by faith of your own. There have been stretches of the road you walked while carrying the feeling that you were the last choice. the backup plan, the one who always had to try harder just to be seen. But you need to know this: the way heaven chooses is not the way the world chooses. I do not look for those who are already complete. I look for those who can be formed. I do not look for those without scars. I look for those who are willing to let me touch their scars and turn them into places where light is born. What you have called weakness has never turned me away. On the contrary, it has opened the way for a deeper closeness between you and me. Now, I am lifting you into a season of fulfillment, not a season of display, not a season of proving yourself, but a season where what I have sown in silence begins to bloom at the appointed time. This season does not arrive because you tried hard enough, but because you stayed long enough. You did not walk away from me in seasons of uncertainty. You did not let go when answers had not yet come. You did not turn your back when your faith was tested. That quiet faithfulness is what has prepared you for what is now unfolding. So, my child, hold firmly to me, not with strained effort, but with a trust that is gentle and yet unshakable. Do not let fear steal this moment from you. Fear is clever. It does not shout. It whispers. It brings back old memories, reminding you of disappointments, of times you hoped only to be let down again. But that is not my voice. Do not allow doubt to slip into your spirit disguised as being realistic. Some words sound wise on the surface, yet quietly drain faith away. I invite you to discern clearly. Whatever leads you into peace comes from me. Whatever makes you shrink back, become defensive, or diminish yourself, those things are not from heaven. Trust my word. Trust not because you have already seen every outcome, but because you know who I have been in your life. Trust my promise not as a phrase hanging in the air, but as a living covenant. Trust my heart, the heart that did not leave you in the days when you had nothing to offer but exhaustion. I am with you, not watching from a distance. I stand for you, not on the condition that you must be perfect. And I am not finished with my work in you. What you see today is only one chapter, not the whole story. From this moment on, I invite you to realign your expectations. Do not expect based on old limitations. Do not predict the future through the memory of past failures. Expect the unexpected, not to live in anxious anticipation, but to keep your heart open. Grace will come to you in ways you did not calculate. Opportunities will pursue you when you stop running from yourself. Healing will arrive in ways that surprise you. For I do not only heal what you ask for, but also what you have grown accustomed to enduring. And peace will no longer be a passing visitor. It will become part of you. As natural as your own breath, you will begin to see that the deepest changes do not always start with loud echoes. They begin with an inward shift. You no longer rush to prove yourself. No longer measure your journey against others. No longer panic when things unfold differently than you planned. You will learn to walk slowly, yet steadily, because you know you do not walk alone. As Scripture reminds us in Isaiah 4:3-2, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. This does not mean you will face no trials, but it does mean that trials will no longer have the power to drown you. My beloved child, allow yourself to believe that what is opening before you is real. Not every good thing must be paid for with anxiety. Not every blessing has to be accompanied by the fear of loss. I am teaching you a new way of living from assurance, not from defense. When you stand in that assurance, you will realize you do not have to strain to hold on. What belongs to me will remain. Keep walking forward with a heart that is soft yet steadfast. Let faith lead instead of old memories. And when unexpected things begin to appear, doors opening, relationships being restored, opportunities arriving at just the right time, remember this: it is not a sudden change of fate, but the natural continuation of a journey I have been leading you on for a very long time. I am here. I am still at work, and even better things are still ahead. My beloved child, know this as well: there will be moments when your spirit feels heavy, not because you are weak, but because you have been carrying too much at once. There will be days when you wake up with an invisible weight pressing on your chest, making every step feel slower. Nights when you wonder whether what remains in you is enough to keep going. I do not blame you for these questions. They do not push me away. Instead, they open a space of honesty where I can draw even closer. Be strong not by forcing yourself to endure, but by remembering that you have never been alone on this journey. I have been with you since your very first breath, long before you knew how to call my name. I was there in the quiet moments when no one saw your tears fall, those times you pressed your lips together so you wouldn't cry. Those moments you turned your face away so no one would notice how exhausted you were. You may think you are walking this road alone, but I tell you this: a power greater than every challenge you face is guiding each of your steps. Silently, yet precisely. That power does not push, it supports. It does not impose, it is patient. And it does not abandon you halfway. When life becomes too heavy, do not try to prove that you can carry it all by yourself. Come closer to me. Come not to present your achievements, but to lay your burdens down. I do not need you to explain why you are tired. I already know. I am here to restore your soul with a love that never runs dry and a strength that never diminishes. There are wearinesses that physical rest cannot heal. They can only be soothed by presence. My arms are always open without conditions, without deadlines, and my heart overflows with compassion for every silent pain you carry. Let me remind you of something important. True strength is not never falling, but knowing where to return when you do fall. When you choose to come back, you are choosing life. When you choose to remain in my presence, you allow your soul to breathe. As Scripture gently yet firmly reminds us, Psalm 5:522 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." This is not a distant promise. It is an invitation for the present moment right now. My beloved child, I also know that some wounds do not come only from circumstances, but from people. There are words that made you shrink inward, actions that left scars deeper than you realized. Forgiveness in such moments is not easy, but when you choose to forgive, not to deny the pain, but to free yourself, you reflect the true essence of compassion. Forgiveness does not erase memory. It cuts the cord that allows the past to keep ruling the present. When you forgive, you are not saying that what was wrong is right. You are saying that pain will no longer have authority over you. And when you speak truth with gentleness, when you share my love in small yet sincere ways, you become an instrument of my message. You do not need a high platform or grand words. Sometimes the most powerful message is carried through a timely act of kindness, a listening ear without judgment, a hand extended when someone is about to give up. Each act of kindness, each moment you choose to serve instead of turning away, draws you closer to me, not because I am far, but because you are stepping deeper into the heartbeat of heaven. I want you to understand how blessing works. It does not open only when you reach some level of perfection. It opens when your heart is aligned with love. When you live by love, heaven responds not as a transaction, but as a resonance. Doors open not only because you knock, but because you knock with a heart in the right rhythm. Opportunities come not only because you seek them, but because you are willing to become a blessing to others when they appear. There may be times when you feel you are giving too much. In those moments, return to me to be filled again. I do not call you to live depleted. I call you to live in the flow, receiving and giving, inhaling and exhaling. When you allow me to fill you, you will give without growing weary. When you try to give by your own strength alone, you will quickly run dry. So do not be ashamed to rest in my presence. Rest is not stopping. It is preparation to move forward with renewed strength. My beloved child, this journey will not always be smooth, but every step you take in love is remembered. Every choice to live kindly in a hurried world creates echoes far beyond what you can see. And when you stumble because you are human, remember this: I do not count your failures to leave you. I count your breaths to lift you up. I do not wait for you to be perfect to draw near. I draw near so that you may be healed and grow. Keep walking. Even on days when your steps feel heavy, keep loving. Even when you fear being hurt again, keep speaking truth. Even when the world prefers shortcuts. For when you live this way, you are not only building a meaningful life, you are opening the doors of blessing over your life in the most enduring way. And when you live by love, a love that forgives, that supports, that remains, heaven responds with presence, with peace, and with goodness far beyond what you dare to hope for. My beloved child, you need to know that there will be moments when the adversary tries to slip into your thoughts with whispers that sound very familiar. He does not come loudly, nor does he appear with a frightening face. He comes through questions that seem reasonable, through arguments that wear the disguise of reality. He will say that your prayers are nothing more than echoes in empty space, that the dreams you carry are far beyond your reach, that you have already tried hard enough and yet nothing has changed. But, my child, learn to recognize this clearly. That voice is not the voice of truth, it is the voice of discouragement, carefully camouflaged. You are not powerless as he wants you to believe. You are not trapped in this limited world as someone without a way out. I have placed you in the spiritual realm, where your life is anchored to what goes beyond what eyes can see and ears can hear. You have been given strength not only to endure, but to overcome. That strength does not always appear as excitement or emotional highs. Often it shows up as perseverance, the ability to rise one more time, the ability to keep believing even when your emotions are weary. No lie, no matter how many times it is repeated, can tear down what I have ordained for your future. Understand the true nature of trials. Trials do not come to eliminate you, but to refine you. They are not walls meant to block your path, but furnaces where what is fragile is strengthened and where immature faith is brought to maturity. In that furnace, I am not standing at a distance. I am right there, controlling the flame so it does not consume you, but only burns away what is no longer necessary. It is precisely in the seasons when you feel weakest that I am preparing you for works so great you do not yet have the language to imagine them. Come to me with the faith of a child. This kind of faith is not complicated and not filled with calculation. It is bold because it trusts that a father will not abandon his child. It expects not because it understands every detail, but because it is certain of the heart behind it. Childlike faith is not afraid to ask questions, yet it does not allow questions to paralyze its steps. When you keep this simplicity, you will discover that even in uncertainty, something extraordinary is being formed. Not every miracle explodes before your eyes. Many miracles grow quietly. Perhaps today you find yourself in the middle of a storm. I do not deny that. The storm may be called anxiety, loss, instability, or long-lasting exhaustion. But trust me when I tell you that this storm will not last forever. No season endures endlessly, and no night has the power to swallow the dawn. With each new morning, even when you do not yet see clear change, I am with you. I am working in places you cannot see, arranging things you have not yet touched, and sowing seeds of new life in ground that was once trampled. Remember this: there is no force stronger than the life I have placed within you. There is no darkness deep enough to extinguish that light. You do not overcome by making yourself invulnerable. You overcome because you belong to me. As Scripture reminds us in Romans 8:3-7, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. This does not say that you will avoid every battle, but it does declare that your outcome is secured in love. My beloved child, take heart. Strength does not mean you feel no fear. It means you know your feet are standing on solid rock. Each day you rise, even with only a small measure of strength left. I am there to lift you one step higher. My grace is not a reward for your good days. It is the support given on your weakest ones. When you stumble, grace catches you. When you are tired, grace carries you. When you are confused, grace lights the way. You do not need to store grace for the future. There is always enough for today. Do not allow other voices to define your worth. Your value does not come from the speed of your progress, nor from comparing yourself to others. Your value comes from belonging to me. As you continue to walk slowly if needed, trembling if necessary, you are cooperating with what I am doing. Every faithful step, no matter how small, carries weight in the unseen realm. Every time you choose trust over doubt, love over withdrawal, honesty over hiding, you are building a foundation on which your future will stand secure. And as you keep moving forward, let these words awaken in you a desire deeper than any outcome, the desire to know me more deeply. Not merely to know about me, not only to know what I can do for you, but to know who I am in the storm, on the mountaintop, and in the most ordinary of days. This knowing will become your compass, keeping you from losing your way as circumstances change. When you know me more deeply, you will be less shaken by lies, because you recognize the familiar voice of truth. My beloved child, this journey is not a journey of chance. It is guided, protected, and enveloped by a tireless love. Keep walking, keep believing, keep your heart open, for even when you cannot yet see the whole picture, I see it in its entirety, and I am leading you, step by step, into a place where you do not merely survive, but live abundantly, rooted in faith, bathed in light, and growing ever deeper in communion with me. My beloved child, if you choose to take deep root in the relationship between you and me, not through fleeting emotions, but through steadfast devotion day after day, the fruit of your labor will flourish in ways you have never imagined. Not loud achievements meant to be displayed, but quiet, enduring outcomes that touch your life and ripple into the lives of others. That fruit carries love into places once parched by bitterness, where people have learned to guard themselves after being wounded for too long. It brings joy into hidden corners of sorrow, where laughter once faded and hope was set aside from exhaustion. It releases peace into the whirlwinds of anxiety, where minds were stretched thin by nameless fears. And it sows patience into the frustrations of daily life, where people are quick to react rather than to understand. These fruits do not grow from your solitary effort. They are the imprint of my presence within you. They are living evidence that the divine spirit is at work not only in moments of intensity, but in the ordinary rhythm of life, where true transformation takes place. When you notice yourself responding differently to what once wounded you, when you choose love instead of retreat, when you remain at peace even while circumstances have not yet changed, that is when you see me at work. No trumpet blast or spotlight is needed. The fruit speaks for itself. Hold fast to this promise. My beloved, hold it not as a beautiful idea, but as a solid truth. For as you do, you will be lifted to a new level, not to rise above others, but to rise above the limitations that once bound you. From that height, you learn to live from a victory already secured, rather than striving to chase one. You are no longer driven by the fear of lack, no longer reacting from scarcity, but walking with the posture of one who knows they are protected, even in the darkest hour when you can no longer see a way out. When questions outnumber answers, I am still turning the unimaginable into a reality you can touch. I do not promise that you will never pass through darkness. I promise that darkness does not have the final word. Some miracles do not arrive as an instant turning point, but like light spreading at dawn, enough for you to take one more step, and then another. And within those small steps, what once seemed impossible gradually becomes possible. Trust in my boundless love. That love is not confined by the limits of the world, not restricted by time, not narrowed by circumstances, not diminished by past failures. The world measures by finite numbers. I act from an infinite source. The world looks at what has been. I look at what is being formed. Therefore, do not let short-term standards define your long-term expectations. What I am doing within you has a depth far beyond what you currently understand. And trust is what opens the capacity to receive it. I have revealed many things to you through gentle whispers, through timely support, through doors opening unexpectedly. Yet the depths of my heart hold truths greater than what you can presently grasp. You do not need to understand everything in order to move forward. You only need enough trust to remain. Understanding comes in rhythm with relationship, not with pressure. As you remain, truth will reveal itself not as a burden of knowledge, but as guiding light. I am the guardian, guarding not to control, but to protect. I am the guide, guiding not by forcing each step, but by illuminating the direction so you may choose in freedom. I am the source of all wisdom, a wisdom that does not pull you away from life, but enables you to live it with depth and balance. When you allow my word to shape your life, you will notice changes that need no display, decisions made with less haste, responses softened, relationships healed by truth and grace. Let my word transform your circumstances not through scattered miracles, but through restructuring from within. Circumstances change when you change how you are present within them. When you stand firm in peace, the storm loses its power to rule. When you remain patient in trial, time becomes an ally. When you choose love in the midst of lack, abundance finds its way in. These truths do not deny hardship. They place hardship in its rightful position, a position where it no longer dominates. My beloved child, there will come a moment when you realize that your desires need to be adjusted, not to be diminished, but to be refined so they align with the sacred purpose quietly waiting for you ahead. This does not come from denying your dreams, but from recentering them. When desire is set on the wrong axis, it exhausts you. When it is set on the right one, it lifts you. Therefore, I invite you to lay down the burdens you have carried for far too long, the bitterness you have worn like armor. the resentments you have held on to as proof that you were treated unjustly. These things do not protect you, they only slow you down. Laying them down is not defeat, it is liberation. Forgiveness is not something I place upon you as a moral weight that forces you to strain. It is a precious gift you give to yourself and, strangely enough, also a gift you give to those who have wounded you. Forgiveness does not rewrite history. It rewrites how history shapes the present. When you forgive, you are not saying that what was wrong is right. You are saying that pain will no longer rule you. And when you release your grip on judgment, you open your hands to receive peace. That peace is not loud. It arrives like a deep breath after long days of holding your breath. Adjusting desire also requires that you take responsibility for your words. For words are the bridge between what you believe and how you live. When your words are filled with truth and life, they build first and foremost. They build you. When your words are tinged with doubt and destruction, they erode from within before they ever reach another. I do not ask you to speak perfectly. I invite you to speak consciously. Every word you choose to utter is a seed. What you sow, you will reap, not as punishment, but as a law of life. When you sow truthful words, faith takes root. When you sow hopeful words, the future opens a path. Feel the lightness that rushes in as your heart opens to the release that comes from trusting my guidance. Trust does not strip you of agency. It frees you from the burden of controlling everything. There are things you were never meant to carry alone. When you place them in my hands, you are not avoiding responsibility. You are restoring responsibility to its rightful order. And within that order, you discover a new rhythm. The rhythm of peace alongside action, of effort alongside rest, of courage alongside humility. I do not ask you to submit as a sign of weakness. Submission, in heaven's way, is a step toward profound transformation. It is the choice to place the self in service of something greater. When you submit, you do not lose your identity. You find an identity that has been refined. When you submit, you do not remain silent before injustice. You learn to respond with wisdom rather than reaction. Submission opens space for me to work where there are walls you cannot break down on your own. Trust that when you release your narrow vision, you are opening yourself to an understanding vast beyond measure. Narrow vision is often born of fear, fear of lack, fear of delay, fear of not being enough. But when you see through the light of relationship, you realize that what you need is not found in gripping tighter, but in remaining deeper. Remain with me amid unanswered questions. Remain with truth even when it challenges old habits. Remain with love even when it asks you to step beyond your comfort zone. There will be times when resistance rises against you. That does not mean you are going the wrong way. Sometimes, it is a sign that you are going the right one. Such resistance often comes to test your resolve, to see whether you will return to old ways or continue forward with new ones. Remember this, your journey is a journey with purpose. Purpose is not only the destination, it is also the manner in which you walk. And the forces that seek to hinder you will tremble not before your aggression, but before the steadiness anchored in truth. That steadiness does not need display, it shines on its own. When you face resistance, do not rush to ask, "Why me?" Ask instead, "Who am I being formed into?" For within every trial is a lesson not meant for hurried ears, but for a heart willing to remain. Remaining is not passive endurance. It is the active choice to learn how to be rightly present. When you are rightly present with a gentle heart and a firm will, you find that you are no longer dragged by circumstances. You walk with them, guiding them back into order. My beloved child, Adjusting desire does not make you smaller. It places you where you belong. Governing your words does not silence you. It gives you a healing voice. Embracing forgiveness does not make you forget. It makes you free. Trust does not leave you disoriented. It sets you on a guided path. Submission does not weaken you. It strengthens your endurance. And when you let go of narrow vision, you do not fall into emptiness. You step into depth. Keep walking with a heart made lighter. Speak words that build, even when the world favors harshness. Forgive, even when the ego longs to hold on to a verdict. Trust, even when outcomes have not yet appeared. For you are walking a journey with purpose, a journey where true strength is revealed not through domination, but through transformation. And in that journey, I am with you, guiding, guarding, and continually widening your vision so that you may live beyond every limit. My beloved child, stand firm, not by tensing yourself into rigidity, but by the posture of one who knows they are sheltered. You are not alone on this road, nor are you abandoned to the headwinds of doubt and fear. There is an armor surrounding you, quiet, unburdensome, yet resilient and keen, the armor of truth that helps you discern what is real from what is false amid countless voices, the armor of righteousness that keeps your heart upright when temptation tries to pull you off center, the armor of peace that allows you to walk through storms without losing your breath. These instruments are stronger than any weapon of anxiety, for they do not attack, they protect, they build, and they keep you rightly positioned. Remember this, and let your heart be at rest. I did not shape you to carry every burden in isolation. I did not create you to be a solitary warrior, enduring in silence. The path you walk is a path of connection where beauty is not measured by how fast you go, but by whom you walk with. Sharing does not weaken you, it makes you truer. When you dare to speak your struggles, you open the door to healing. When you allow joy to be spoken, that joy multiplies. And when you entrust your heart in confidence, you receive a support you could never manufacture on your own. There were stretches you thought you had to cross alone, believing that leaning on someone else meant failure. But I tell you, that is a lie wearing the clothes of pride. True strength is not afraid of connection. True strength knows how to choose the right connection. I place companions around you. Not all will walk with you for a lifetime, but each carries a gift for a particular season. Learn to receive that gift with gratitude, and also learn to let go when their season closes. You lose nothing when a season passes. You grow. Your potential is boundless, not because you have no limits, but because the source you are connected to is limitless. The strength to fulfill your calling does not rest in perfection. It rests in willingness. It is already within you, waiting to be awakened by faith and refined by loving discipline. You will find yourself doing what you once feared, not because fear disappears, but because love becomes greater. When love grows larger, fear no longer holds authority. Embrace that potential not with self-exaltation, but with gentle responsibility. Gentle responsibility understands that what I have placed within you is not only for you to shine, but to light the way. When you shine in this way, you are not blinding, you are warming. You do not impose, you invite. And it is this invitation that creates lasting influence, an influence that needs no slogans, only consistent presence. There will be days when you are tired. Do not be alarmed by this. Weariness does not cancel a calling. It signals the need for a rhythm of rest. Come back, set the burden down, and receive renewed strength. I am with you not only in victories that are retold, but in the quiet afternoons no one sees. My guidance does not falter when you slow down. It adjusts the pace so you do not break. I do not push you to run. I teach you to endure. When doubt knocks, let truth answer the door. When fear whispers, let peace respond. When tasks pile up, let righteousness arrange your priorities. You will discover that the armor you wear does not weigh you down. It steadies you, steady to stand, steady to walk, steady to wait. And in that steadiness, you learn to distinguish what must be done now from what must be set aside. Do not underestimate the power of walking together. Within connection are small miracles, a timely reminder, a quiet embrace, an honest question that opens a new path. These miracles are not loud, but they accumulate into a foundation. That foundation keeps you from slipping on steep roads, from falling against contrary winds. You do not need many people. You need the right ones. And I am leading you to such connections, step by step, season by season. Remember that the strength to complete your mission is already within you. Yet it blossoms when you allow yourself to be guided. Guidance does not take away freedom, it offers direction. When you walk in my leading, you do not lose your identity. You discover it refined. You are not diminished. You are expanded in a healthy way. And as you expand, you learn to give without depletion, to receive without self-reproach. If there are moments when you feel lost, do not despair. Pause, listen, and realign. Realignment is not turning back. It is setting the compass true. I am with you in every act of recalibration. My guidance is not a detailed map for every turn. It is light enough for the next step. And light for the next step is all you need to go far. My beloved child, now I invite you to open your arms and your heart, not to keep to yourself what you have just received, but to share it like a flame passed on through a cold night. There are people around you, walking on weary feet, carrying questions without answers, burdens they do not know where to lay down. There are souls that appear strong, yet inside their warmth of hope is slowly fading. And there are those lost within their own lives, longing to understand that they were not born by accident, that their lives carry a purpose greater than their present failures. Let this message reach them through you, not as a rigid sermon, but as a refreshing stream. When you share, you do not become poorer. On the contrary, you open a space where grace multiplies. I designed the journey of faith not as isolated roads running side by side, but as a network of connection. Together, you are greater than the sum of your parts. What one person cannot carry alone, the community can uphold. What one heart struggles to believe, many hearts, beating together, can rekindle with hope. This is not simple addition. It is the multiplication of love and presence. The strength of your community reflects my presence among you. When you listen to one another with compassion, I am there. When you support the weaker without judgment, I am there. When you share joy without envy, I am there. And when you weep together without rushing to offer solutions, I am there as well, quiet, yet complete. My presence is not confined to rituals. It is alive in how you treat one another each day. I have never turned away from the broken or the forgotten. Those pushed to the margins of life are not outside my sight. Those looked down upon because of fractured pasts, mistaken choices, or unhealed wounds. I know their names. I know their stories, and I have not turned away. When you choose to share this message with them, you become a bridge between their pain and the healing I am opening. You do not need to fix them, you only need to be there. Present, and let love do its work. You may think your words are too small, your actions too simple to make a difference. But, my beloved, I work through what seems small. A timely word of encouragement can keep someone here one more day. A sincere embrace can dismantle walls built over many years. An honest sharing of your own journey can help another believe they are not without hope. Do not underestimate the seeds you sow. You do not know where or when they will take root. Share not from the position of one who has arrived, but from the place of one who is still walking. Such humility creates safety. When you say that you too have been afraid, have doubted, have struggled, and that you are still learning how to trust you, open a door for others to step through without shame. Community is built not by perfect people, but by real ones. And in that truth, grace finds a home. I invite you to respond not as a formal gesture, but as a sign of inward agreement. When you express your welcome, you are saying that you are willing to participate in the flow of what I am doing. Words have the power to shape perception. When you speak gratitude, you train your heart to recognize grace even in small details. And that very gratitude will transform how you see life, not by denying hardship, but by placing it within the context of a greater care. Gratitude has the power to lead you out of lack. Lack is not only material, often it is a lack of hope, a lack of meaning, a lack of being seen and heard. As you cultivate gratitude, you begin to notice what is already present: relationships, opportunities. Small steps forward, and your mind begins to expand. That expansion is the doorway into boundless grace, where you no longer live in fear of loss, but in trust of provision. Boundless grace does not make you passive, it makes you courageous. Courageous to share even when you fear being misunderstood. Courageous to love after you have been hurt. Courageous to step forward when the path is not yet clear. When you live in grace, you do not need to store up. You become a flow. And that flow does not only nourish others, it renews you as well. Remember that community is not a place without conflict. It is a place where conflict is handled with truth and love. When you disagree, I invite you to listen before you react. When you hurt one another, I invite you to seek reconciliation. Each time you choose the harder path of understanding instead of the easier path of division, you reflect my kingdom more clearly than any words ever could. My beloved child, this message does not end here. It continues to live through the way you show up in everyday life. As you step away from this conversation, carry with you the warmth of hope and place it into the encounters ahead. Let the small light you bear find the dark corners around you. And when you grow weary, return to the community so you may be reminded that you are not meant to carry the load alone. I believe that when you receive these words deep within your heart, your life will gradually begin to change. Not everything will shift at once, but the way you see everything will. And when your way of seeing changes, the path itself changes. From a place of scarcity where you feel the need to guard and calculate, you will step into a realm of boundless grace where you are free to give, to receive, and to live fully. Share, stay, walk together, for I am among you, and where I am present, life is always multiplied. My beloved child, when you begin to cultivate a grateful heart, not as a forced habit, but as a conscious choice each day, you will discover this wonder. My presence is no longer an abstract idea, but becomes evident, near, and alive in your life. Gratitude opens the door of awareness. It quiets the noise within, allowing you to be still enough to see that I am there, unchanging, near, never indifferent. In the light of gratitude, You look back over the road you have traveled and realize that you were never abandoned, even on the days you felt most alone. In that sacred space, the space formed by an open heart, the burdens you have carried for too long begin to be lifted from your shoulders. Not because circumstances instantly disappear, but because their power over you weakens. The chains of despair, which once tightened around you with familiar phrases like, "There is no hope," "There is no way out," "It is already too late," fall away one by one. They fall not with great noise, but with the quiet truth that you were never meant to carry everything by yourself. In gratitude, you stop demanding that life be perfect in order for you to feel at peace. You learn to rest even amid what is still unfinished. A grateful heart is the vessel I delight to fill, not because I lack places to give, but because that vessel is ready to receive. I pour out miracles not so that you may marvel and then forget, but so you may remember that life is not confined by narrow logic. I pour out healing, not only healing of the body, but healing of memory, motive, and the way you see yourself. I pour out divine breakthroughs beyond the world's understanding, turning points that are not loud, yet enduring, restructuring your life from the inside out. Many of my children exhaust themselves in constant competition. They chase earthly victories, believing that one more milestone, one more affirmation, one more number in a bank account will finally bring satisfaction. But you have seen it. Each short-lived victory opens another race. Each compliment fades quickly. Each achievement demands more. Competition drains you because it places human worth in things that are easily lost. And when those things shake, the soul shakes with them. True fulfillment does not come from having more, but from belonging more deeply. What brings peace to the soul and strength to the spirit is not found outside, but within relationship with me. When you are in me, you do not need to prove your worth. You are affirmed. When you are in me, you do not need to compare. You are positioned. And when you are in me, you no longer chase fulfillment. You are fulfilled. For I am the source of life, a source that does not run dry, does not change, and does not depend on the season. Gratitude helps you shift your center from scarcity to abundance. Scarcity is not only about lacking material things. It is a state of the heart that always feels not enough, not yet, not worthy. When you are grateful, you train your heart to recognize what is already present: steady breath, a new day given, relationships that may be imperfect yet real, lessons that help you grow. This awareness does not make you complacent. It makes you steady, steady enough to move forward without panic, steady enough to pursue what is good without losing yourself along the way. There will be days when you forget gratitude. That does not cause me to withdraw. Simply return gently, without self-reproach, and begin with the smallest thing: a quiet word of thanks, a minute to pause and breathe, a compassionate glance toward yourself. Gratitude does not require perfect circumstances. It creates the conditions for healing. And when you practice gratitude, you do more than shift a passing emotion. You reshape a way of living. Within that way of living, you will discover that miracles do not always arrive as sensational events. More often, they come as delicate arrangements, a timely encounter, an idea that opens a path, a wise decision made in peace. I work in this manner so you learn to see with the eyes of the heart, not merely with the expectations of the senses. Gratitude helps you recognize my hand weaving goodness even when you cannot yet name it. I am not asking you to abandon your longings or your dreams. I am inviting you to place them rightly. When dreams are rooted in me, they do not enslave you to outcomes. They become means by which you serve and love. When desire is joined to gratitude, you pursue without losing peace. When success comes, you do not grow proud. When delays occur, you do not despair, for your foundation does not rest on what comes or goes, but on the one who remains. Beloved child, remember this: I am the source of life. Every true current flows from here. When you seek elsewhere, you must compensate with unceasing effort. When you return to the source, you are nourished. The life I give does not merely help you survive. It enables you to flourish in due season. And that season arrives not because you tried hard enough, but because you were in the right place in me. Let gratitude lead you into a new rhythm of life, a rhythm that does not rush to prove itself, does not obsessively accumulate, does not panic in the face of change. A rhythm that knows how to pause, how to receive, how to give. When you live this way, you will find that old chains lose their weight and former burdens lose their power. You walk more lightly, see more deeply, and love more truly. I am the giver of every good gift, not only those you can see and name, but also the quiet graces that keep you standing each day. When you choose to seek me, first not as a tactic to obtain what you want, but as the true turning of the heart, you will discover this wonder: what you need follows after. It comes not through weary striving or anxious self-justification, but through sacred alignment, when your life falls into right order and grace flows naturally. There were moments when you tried very hard, believing that a little more effort or a little more sacrifice would finally produce peace. But peace is not born of compulsion. Peace takes root when you place the center of your life where it belongs. Seeking me first does not deprive you. It frees you from the burden of managing your own universe. When you release the need to control every outcome, you begin to notice the subtle arrangements, pieces fitting together at the right time, doors opening without force. As you reflect and contemplate, you will gradually see the threads connecting ancient wisdom to your present life. Words spoken across generations do not lie dormant on the page. They are alive, breathing with your own breath. In stillness, you begin to hear the meaning beneath ordinary experiences. You realize that the questions you carry today are not new. They have been asked before, lived before, healed before. And this awareness gives you a steady foundation. You are not the first to walk this path, and you do not walk it alone. This awareness does not end in understanding. It leads you into choices aligned with the highest purpose. Not every right choice is easy, but right choices carry a quiet peace, a deep inner consent you learn to trust. When you choose from that place of peace, you do not need to defend your decisions with arguments. Time and fruit will bear witness. I do not rush you to choose quickly. I teach you to choose well. Be gentle with this journey. Do not reproach yourself when you seem to move more slowly than others, for comparison distorts perception. In the soil of patience and devotion, the seeds of wisdom need time to take root. Some things, if they arrive too early, would break you. If they arrive in their time, they will establish you. Patience is not passive delay. It is active faithfulness, continuing to do what is right, even when the outcome has not yet appeared. Let my word take deep root within your soul. Deep roots do not seek attention. Deep roots seek life. When roots run deep, a tree does not fall before the wind. When my word abides in you, you are not swept away by passing voices. That word bears fruit, not through display, but through a spiritually abundant harvest that arrives in its appointed season. You will find yourself loving more deeply, discerning more clearly, living more lightly. These fruits are signs that you are standing in the right place. Know this so that your heart may rest. You are never far from my heart. The distance you sometimes feel is not my absence, but the noise within your own heart. I see the quiet longings you have not yet dared to speak aloud, longings that are both fragile and resilient. I see the worries you keep carefully hidden so as not to burden anyone. I see the dreams you hold tightly, afraid to release them for fear of disappointment. Nothing within you is invisible to me. Therefore, bring everything to me without filtering, without hiding. Bring the struggles you are carrying, the doubts you are ashamed of still having, the joys you have not yet had time to celebrate, and even the fears you believe you must face alone. I do not require you to come to me fully put together. I invite you to come in truth. Truth is the doorway. When you come in truth, I meet you with grace. You may be standing before many crossroads. Do not panic. Stay long enough to listen. Sometimes the answer does not arrive as a clear command, but as a growing peace that gently confirms a direction. Do not dismiss small confirmations, a timely reminder, a meaningful coincidence, a quiet sense of this is right that needs no justification. I lead you with light sufficient for the next step, not so you can see the entire road and lose your trust. There will be moments in this journey when you grow weary. In those moments, rest in me, not from living, but from striving. Rest to recover your breath. Rest to remember that results are not the foundation of your worth. I do not measure you by speed. I behold you with love. And within that love, I am more patient than your impatience with yourself. Allow divine harmony to guide your life. When you place me at the center, the other parts naturally find their proper place. Work no longer consumes your soul. Relationships no longer become battlefields. Dreams no longer feel like burdens. Everything becomes a means through which you learn to love, to be faithful, to grow wise. And in this process, you will see grace does not diminish you. Grace makes you whole. My beloved, there are times when you look around and cannot understand why the door you hoped for has closed, why the path that once felt familiar has suddenly become uneven. But let me whisper this to you. It may be precisely in these turns that I am protecting you from a way that was never meant for you, or gently steering you away from distractions that could derail your journey. Not every closed door is a loss. Many closed doors are protection. Not every delay is a refusal. Many delays are quiet preparation, keeping you from stepping into a place that would slowly wear you down. Trust that I am with you, not in the distant way of an observer, but in the nearness of one who walks beside you. As long as you remain faithful to your faith, the right path will be revealed. Faithfulness is not always loud. It often appears in small choices, unseen decisions, quiet moments when you choose to stay with what is right, even without immediate reward. Faithfulness is a small lamp that does not go out in the long night. It is enough to lead you one step further, and then another, until dawn appears. Keep your heart open to the whispers of the sacred, especially in moments of stillness. The world is accustomed to speaking loudly, to urging, to applying pressure, but I often speak softly. In stillness, you will hear more clearly not only what I say, but also what I do not say. Gentle warnings, peaceful confirmations, unhurried invitations. Stillness is not an emptiness to be filled, it is a space to dwell. When you learn to remain in stillness, you learn discernment, recognizing which voice is true and which is merely noise disguised as wisdom. Know that every prayer, every sincere offering, ignites a sacred movement that advances my purposes. No prayer falls useless to the ground. Some prayers I answer at once, others I hold to answer in a deeper way. Some offerings are not measured by numbers, but by the heart moments you set aside to listen. Times you choose love when it would be easier to turn away. Quiet sacrifices that go unnoticed. All of these are accounted for, not as transactions, but as a living relationship. Even when the answer does not come in the way you hoped for or at the time you wanted. I am still at work. I am working within the hidden currents of your personal history, arranging people, timing, and circumstances, refining motives, reshaping habits, healing old wounds so that you will be strong enough to receive what is new. Some things, if they came too early, would break you. If they come at the right moment, they will cause you to bloom. I love you enough not to indulge impatience, and I love you enough not to abandon you in waiting. Your tears are not wasted. Each drop is a wordless prayer, a cry from the deepest place of the heart. I see them not to count them, but to wipe them away. I know the nights when you cried in silence because you did not want anyone to worry. The mornings when you forced a smile to fulfill your responsibilities. I do not treat those tears lightly. They do not make you weak. They make you real. And it is precisely in that truth that I draw nearer. Your silence has not been overlooked. There are seasons when I invite you into silence, not because you have nothing to say, but because some things can only be learned when you stop speaking. In silence, you become aware of your own breathing. You recognize the motives hidden beneath the surface. You discern what is truly guiding your decisions. Silence is not my absence, often. It is the sign that I am very near enough that many words are no longer needed. Your hope is not in vain. Hope is not naive dreaming. Hope is the choice to stand with the light when darkness seems persuasive. Hope is the decision to believe that your story is not finished, that the next page can be different from the previous one. I guard your hope, not allowing it to be extinguished by disappointment, and not allowing it to swell into illusion. Hope in me has deep roots. It withstands headwinds and still stands firm. Take courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is walking with me even while you are afraid. There are moments when you need to pause and breathe. There are moments when you must move forward even without clarity. I am with you in both. I walk beside you in every circumstance, when you are strong and when you are fragile, when you are certain and when you are confused. I give you guidance, not a detailed map for every turn, but light enough for the next step. I give you wisdom not to make you superior to others, but to help you live in balance, knowing when to wait and when to go. I give you the comfort of my presence, a comfort that does not erase difficulty, but prevents difficulty from ruling over you. My beloved, your gifts, your very being, and the journey you have traveled its turns, its rough stretches, its quiet seasons are not misplaced. They are set in the right place, at the right time, for the right purpose. Some threads look dark when viewed on their own, but when woven into the whole, they make the light stand out. Do not rush to judge your worth simply because you are viewing it from too close a distance. I see the full picture, and I say to you, everything fits. When you choose to walk the upright path, the path of truth, humility, and steadfast love, you become a vessel carrying my purpose into the world. That vessel does not need to shine on the outside. What matters is that it is clean enough to hold what is holy, strong enough not to crack under pressure, and open enough that the flow is not blocked. You were not created to hoard, you were created to give. And when you give from a place that has been filled, you are not depleted, you are renewed. Be assured of this, nothing you have been through will be wasted. Not a single tear, not one quiet effort, Not one moment when you chose to remain with what is right, even at a cost. All of it I keep as seed. Some seeds require a long season beneath dark soil to sprout. Some only break open when the rain comes. If today you do not yet see fruit, it does not mean the seed has died. It is doing its quiet work, and I am the keeper of the seasons. Reflect on these teachings not to accumulate knowledge, but to transform the rhythm of your life. To reflect is to allow truth to pass through defenses, to reach deep motives, and to realign the inner compass. When you invite my spirit into your life, you do not lose freedom, you find direction. Guidance does not come as coercion, it comes as light sufficient for the next step. And my wisdom does not pull you away from reality, it enables you to live fully within it. With depth, imagine setting aside a portion of time each day, not much, but enough to deepen the relationship between me and you. That time does not need to be elaborate, it needs to be honest. It might be a few quiet minutes before the day begins, or a moment of attentive listening as the day draws to a close. What matters is not the length, but the presence. When you remain with me, you learn to recognize the voice of peace amid countless other voices. And as you become familiar with that voice, your decisions begin to reflect a higher purpose. Embrace my presence in every part of your life, in your work, in your family, in everyday conversations, and even in your private moments. I am not present only in what you call sacred hours. I dwell in the ordinary. When you invite me into the ordinary is made holy. When you work with me, work becomes service. When you love with me, love becomes healing. When you rest with me, rest becomes restoration. Perhaps now is the time for you to extend grace to someone in need, not necessarily through something grand, but through attention, patience, and presence. Grace is not the privilege of the abundant. It is the choice of one who has been touched. A timely word of encouragement, a quiet act of kindness, a forgiveness freely given. These open a door for grace to flow through you. And when grace flows, you are not diminished, you are multiplied. Or perhaps this is the moment to welcome a calling that has been gently knocking on your heart for some time. That calling does not rush you, it is patient. It does not draw attention to itself, it is persistent. You have heard it in moments of stillness, in the stirring of your heart at another's pain, in ideas that return again and again even when you try to dismiss them. Do not be afraid of that calling. It does not come to make you smaller, it comes to expand you in a healthy and life-giving way. I also see that gentle spark of faith within you, a quiet, steadfast hope that continues to shine. It is not a loud hope, it is a hope that knows how to wait. It does not deny reality, it places reality in my hands. When things remain unclear, that spark stays. When answers are slow to come, that spark still breathes. And because it is gentle, it endures. Do not despise small light. Small light is enough to guide the way through the night. Let my wisdom guide you through each moment, through both the great choices and the small decisions. Wisdom does more than help you avoid mistakes. It teaches you how to live beautifully. Living beautifully does not mean never stumbling. It means knowing how to rise rightly. When you stumble, I am there. When you hesitate, I am there. When you move forward, I am there. No moment of your life lies outside my sight. My beloved, if there are times when you wonder whether you are enough, remember this: what I seek is not perfection, but willingness. Willingness to learn, willingness to love, willingness to give and to receive. Within that willingness, I do my work. I gather scattered pieces into a whole. I turn lessons into foundations. I transform wounds into wells of compassion. Walk forward with simple trust. Do not measure your progress by another's pace. Your path is measured by faithfulness, not by applause, and within that faithfulness, you will begin to see the divine tapestry take shape. Threads that once confused you now form patterns. Paths that seemed lost now lead toward the center. If I were to tell you that this very moment, this very sense stirring within you could become a turning point for the entire journey, would you be willing to believe? Not with impulsive excitement, but with a deep and steady trust. True turning points rarely arrive with noise. They come like a gentle breeze, enough to move you, never to force you. And it is within that gentleness that your freedom is honored. If the next step you take, however small, is guided by the deeper understanding you are receiving now, it can open something far greater than you imagine. Not because the step is perfect, but because it is rightly placed. I do not ask you to leap into what you are not ready for. I invite you to listen. Listening is not hesitation. Listening is courage. The courage to trust that wisdom does not always come through dense reasoning, but through a quiet agreement within the heart. Do you trust enough to listen? My beloved, if these words bring you peace, a peace that needs no explanation, or a gentle joy, allow that light to shine more brightly within you. Do not rush to extinguish it with doubt or over-analysis. This light does not come to blind you. It comes to guide your way. As you allow it to spread, you will discover that the darker corners of the heart are not driven out by force, but gradually dissolve when touched by truth. Trust your intuition. Intuition is not a passing emotion. It is a faculty of knowing refined through relationship. It does not oppose reason. It complements reason with depth. When you learn to listen to intuition, you do not lose clarity. You gain discernment. Your intuition, nurtured in stillness and honed by experience, is not accidental. It is the channel through which I whisper when the noise of the world grows too loud. The sensitivity you have carried since childhood, the capacity to sense the unseen, to perceive what others overlook, is not a burden to be hidden. It is not a weakness that makes you fragile. It is a gift given so that you may love more deeply, understand more broadly, and heal more delicately. You once learned to restrain it in order to fit in, to feel safe, to avoid being misunderstood. But what I have placed within you was never meant to make you smaller. It was meant to make you whole. That gift is a sacred sign, a seal of the trust I have placed in you. What I am revealing to you now is not meant to make you afraid. Fear constricts, my revealing strengthens. I do not unveil what is ahead to alarm you. I prepare you so that you may stand firm. Some truths, if they arrive suddenly, can unsettle you, but when they are given in peace, they become bedrock. The strength I give is not a rigid armor that distances you from your emotions. It is an inner pillar that allows you to keep a tender heart under pressure. You may ask, why now? Because there are seasons that open only when you are ready to receive without distorting what is given. You have passed through the necessary lessons of waiting, of discernment, of letting go. You have learned not to react to every stimulus, to remain with the question without panic. Those lessons were not wasted, they are keys. And now, as the door opens gently, the key fits your hand. Let your next step be shaped by this understanding. Do not ask too much about the entire path. Ask about the next step. The light I give is often sufficient for the next step, no more. No less so that you may walk while trusting. In that rhythm, the pride of knowing everything does not bind you, and the fear of knowing nothing does not paralyze you. You move forward with enlightened humility. If at times you hesitate amid many voices, return to this simple sign: what brings enduring peace? What opens your heart to love more fully? What makes you more honest with yourself? This is near me. But what makes you shrink, rush, or trade truth for a temporary sense of safety? Pause there. My guidance does not contradict the life I have placed within you. It causes that life to bloom. Do not dismiss the small stirrings. At times I touch you through a thought that returns again and again. A word that seems spoken just for you. A coincidence heavy with meaning. These are not meant to replace your responsibility. They invite your cooperation. When you respond with a humble yes, even by giving a little more time to listen, you open a current. And that current will carry you toward timely connections and rightly placed decisions. I know you have feared that if you trusted your sensitivity, you would be hurt. But, beloved, hurt does not come from sensitivity. It comes when sensitivity is separated from wisdom. I am reuniting these two within you, an open heart and a steady mind. When they walk together, you do not merely feel, you discern. You do not merely see, you understand. And you do not merely understand, you act in love. If joy is beginning to kindle, allow it to be nourished. Joy does not deny reality. It places reality in the light of hope. Joy does not require a grand reason. It arises when you realize you are being guided. In that joy, your strength is renewed. You do not need to strain to appear strong. You are strong because you know you do not walk alone. My beloved child, perhaps you have already sensed a very real shift, an undercurrent within your soul. A feeling difficult to name yet impossible to ignore. It is as though the ground beneath your feet is gently trembling, as though the rhythm of life you once knew no longer fits quite the same. You wonder why your heart feels restless, why what once felt sufficient now feels constricting. Listen to me with gentleness. This is not a sign of loss, it is a sign of opening. Your life is about to be used in ways you have never imagined before, not to overwhelm you, but to make you whole. The shaking you feel has not come to punish you or to instill fear. It has come to prepare you. When an old foundation can no longer support what is about to be built, I allow movement to occur, not to destroy, but to reshape. I am moving in your life quietly, unhurriedly, yet decisively. And in this movement, I invite you into the beautiful future I have already prepared. That future is not a flawless picture without challenges. It is a meaningful path, where every step you take carries the weight of purpose. Do not be afraid when questions arise. Do not panic when old layers begin to fall away. What you once held on to, though familiar, may have already fulfilled its role. I do not take away to leave you empty. I make room so you may be filled with what is right in its time. Some seasons arrive only when you are courageous enough to let go. Letting go is not failure. Letting go is cooperation with what I am doing. The pain you have endured has never been meaningless. Not a single wound has been forgotten. Not one long night has passed outside my sight. I know the battles you have fought, the unseen ones, where you had to choose between bitterness and trust, between giving up and staying. I count every tear not to reopen the pain, but to transform it into a source of healing. I hear every whispered prayer, those uttered when you no longer had strength to speak aloud. And I take note of every act of faith when no one was watching, each time you chose what was right without recognition. The lessons you have learned will not remain dormant in memory. They will become wisdom that guides many. You did not go through these things only to forget them. You went through them to become. The sensitivity you carry now, the ability to understand others' pain, has been sharpened by what you yourself endured. The patience you possess, the capacity to remain when others walk away, was born from times when your own voice went unanswered. And the discernment you hold, the ability to recognize truth amid confusion, was forged in seasons of waiting. Nothing has been wasted. Everything is being woven together. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. Even when you feel as though you stand at the edge of the story, I am writing your name at the center of my plan. I have inscribed your name in the books of heaven, not with fading ink, but with enduring promise. Your obedience, those moments when you chose to believe before you could see, has not been missed. Heaven does not measure by spotlight. Heaven measures by faithfulness in the dark. Let this reassure you. Angels surround you, walk with you, and fight on your behalf. There are battles you do not see, yet you live within their outcomes. There are arrows that never reached you because they were intercepted. There are paths you never had to walk because they were redirected. My protection is not always visible, but it is always effective. You are not walking alone, even when you feel lonely. What seems like delay is simply a sacred moment being carefully set. Delay does not mean denial. Some things, if they came too early, would break you. If they arrive at the appointed time, they will make you stand firm. I am not late. I am precise. I work according to the rhythm of life, not the rhythm of anxiety. And when the moment comes, you will see that every day of waiting has woven a foundation that allows you to receive without losing yourself. You may feel unsettled because old choices no longer bring you peace. That is a sign you have outgrown yesterday's garment. Do not try to put it on again simply because it is familiar. Trust that your present discomfort is an invitation into something that fits you better. You are not being drawn out of safety into danger. You are being led forward into maturity. Maturity is not hardness. Maturity is the flexibility to adapt without losing your core. Step into the beautiful future I have prepared, not with haste, but with trust. Trust does not require you to know everything. Trust invites you to walk one step at a time. As you step forward, light will be given for the next step. When you pause to listen, discernment will deepen. I am not urging you to run. I am teaching you to endure. And in that endurance, you will find yourself going farther than you ever imagined. If, at times, old memories rise and whisper that you are not enough, remember this: I have seen you rise from places that seemed impossible. I have seen you hold on to faith without evidence. I have seen you choose love when it would have been easier to turn away. Those things have not vanished. They have become a quiet strength. And strength does not need to be loud in order to endure. My beloved child, there is a purpose calling your name, not to place a new burden upon your shoulders, but to give meaning to what you have already been carrying. This purpose does not separate you from everyday life. It permeates it, transforming the ordinary into something sacred. When you speak, your words carry healing. When you listen, your presence brings comfort. When you act, your faithfulness opens the way. Allow this transition to complete its work. Do not resist out of fear of losing control. You are not losing control. You are being guided. I am here in every vibration, every restlessness, every trembling moment. I am here to strengthen you for what lies ahead. And what lies ahead is not meant to frighten you, but to lead you into fullness of life. My beloved child, let the radiant joy set before you shine like a guiding star, not a blinding light that causes you to lose your way, but a steady light that helps you know where you are going and why you keep moving forward. This joy does not deny the dark days. It places them within a larger picture of hope. As you follow that light, you will come to recognize a simple yet profound truth: you have never been, and will never be, abandoned. even when you feel as though you are walking alone. The truth remains, I am closer than you imagine, close enough to hear even the sighs that have not yet found words. The emptiness you sometimes sense is not a meaningless void. It is sacred space, a room made ready where I long to dwell more fully. People often fear emptiness, believing it signals lack, but, in the order of heaven, emptiness is an invitation. When the noise settles, when temporary attachments loosen their grip, you can hear what is true more clearly. In that stillness, I speak most loudly not with thunder, but with awakening truth. I awaken you to the inherent power of your being, not power that dominates, but the power that comes from knowing who you are. You are the beloved child of the Most High, called by name, fully known, deeply loved. The life within you is not faint, it is vibrant and purposeful. You are not the product of chance. You were formed with intention. Every contour of your character, every gift you carry, every deep longing has been carefully placed. I have destined for you a future more glorious than your mind can imagine, not so you would boast, but so you would have courage. Courage to believe that your story is not finished. Courage to keep walking, even when the road ahead remains unclear. Within your heart are countless dreams waiting to be realized, dreams that speak not only of achievement, but of life coming into bloom. They are driven by a deep longing to honor the beauty of life itself, dreams of healing what has been fractured, of rebuilding where things have collapsed, of bringing light into shadowed places. These dreams were not placed in you by accident. They are a blueprint of destiny written by my own hand, drawn in love, refined through time, and safeguarded by grace. You belong to me, and I am drawing you closer to my heart, not with forceful pulling, but with the gentle cord of trust. Each time you choose to remain with the truth, you take another step forward. Each time you choose love where it would be easier to turn away, you draw nearer. Each time you allow yourself to rest in my presence, you learn to recognize the heartbeat of heaven. I draw you near not to diminish you, but to expand you in a healthy way, to widen your capacity to listen, to deepen your compassion, to broaden the horizon of your hope. Child of light, let these words heal you and lift you up. Healing is not merely the soothing of pain. Healing restores your ability to believe. Lifting you up is not about placing you above others. It is about helping you stand firm. When you stand firm, you become a refuge for the weary, a gentle voice for the despairing, a hand extended at the right moment. And then, share these words with anyone who needs to be reminded that they are never alone. Share not to persuade, but to accompany. Light, when shared, does not diminish, it multiplies. Embrace me with your whole being, your mind, your heart, your body, and your daily choices. Do not confine me to rare sacred moments. Place me at the center of your life in every decision, every step, every breath. When I am at the center, all other things find their proper order. When I am at the center, you no longer strain to control, you learn to cooperate. And in that cooperation, you will witness something wondrous. My presence transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. My beloved child, there is a call whispering, not urgent, not demanding, yet steady and faithful. This call invites you to rise not by your own strength, but through an inner alignment with who you were created to become. It speaks to you with compassion, because I know the weariness you have carried, and with power, because I know what you are capable of when you stand in the right place. This call awakens your spirit from the sleep of compromise. reminding you that true purpose is not found in merely enduring each day, but in fully living each one. Rise up, beloved child, for my presence is with you always, not dependent on seasons, emotions, success, or failure. When you rise, you do not rise alone. I stand with you. I lift you, and I go before you. We are about to set out on a journey of transformation, not a journey that escapes reality, but one that enters reality with light. On this journey, my strength will be revealed in ways that fill you with awe, not through display, but through the gentle precision of grace. You will come to see that what I do is never loud, yet impossible to deny. You were not created merely to survive. Survival is the bare minimum. I placed you in life so that you might shine. To shine is not to overshadow others, but to illuminate what is good. I created you to flourish not only in material things, but in your soul, in your relationships, and in your inner freedom. I formed you to carry my light wherever you go, in the kitchen, in the workplace, in the streets, and even in the hidden places no one sees. That light needs no advertisement. It spreads through a life that is truly present. Each morning you awaken is a testimony of my mercy. When the first light of day touches your eyes, it is not merely the start of a schedule. It is a reminder that I am giving you another day to love, to learn, to grow. Every breath you take is a gift from my hand, not something to be assumed, but a grace continually given. As you breathe out, I invite you to release your burdens. As you breathe in, I invite you to receive new strength. That rhythm of breath is a wordless prayer, a quiet dialogue between you and me. I am not finished with you. No matter how many mistakes you have made, no matter how far you think you have fallen, your story is still being written. I do not define you by your hardest chapter. I see the entire book, the pages behind you, the page now open, and the pages yet to come. My love goes deeper than you dare to hope. It reaches into the lowest valley where you believe you have lost all worth, and touches the darkest corner where you hide what you do not want anyone to see. There, I do not turn away, I remain. And in that remaining, the darkness begins to change its color. Nothing can separate you from me, nothing at all. Not the past, not the present, not the future, not your mistakes, not your weakness, not your fear. This bond is not built on performance. It is grounded in a covenant of love. When you lose your way, I do not cut you off. I call you home. When you fall, I do not condemn you. I lift you up. When you doubt, I do not abandon you. I draw even closer. My love is not a reward for perfection. It is the foundation for healing. Your steadfast faith, even when it trembles, opens the door to the blessings I have long desired to give you. Faith does not need to be large. It needs to be real. When you choose to trust in the midst of uncertainty, you open a crack for the light. When you choose to remain with what is right even when it is difficult, you widen that opening a little more. I do not force blessing into a place that is not ready. I wait for consent. And when the door opens, grace enters, not in haste, but in fullness. Allow this journey of transformation to unfold. Do not fear the shaking. It is not meant to destroy you, but to remove what no longer serves life. Do not fear the questions. They do not drive you away from me. They draw you closer when asked in trust. Do not fear moments of vulnerability. They are where my strength finds room to be revealed. I do not ask you to become invulnerable. I invite you to become truthful. There will be days when you feel you can take only a very small step. Rejoice in that step. I do not measure progress by long strides, but by a true direction. When you choose to move toward the light even slowly, you are moving rightly, and every right step, however small, contributes to the larger picture. That picture is being painted by ordinary choices saturated with love. Let the call of your soul continue to awaken you, not once, but every day. Awaken you from half-lived habits. Awaken you from the fear that makes you shrink back. Awaken you from the lie that you are not enough. You are enough not because you lack flaws, but because I have chosen to be with you in the process. And where I am present, enough is redefined enough to love, enough to learn, enough to rise again. My child, when challenges rise like wave after wave, when the weight of life seems to press upon every breath, I want you to learn a different way of seeing a vision, not locked into the present moment alone. Do not let your eyes rest only on the hardship before you, for what you are experiencing is not the whole story. Beyond the thick clouds of weariness and anxiety, I have prepared a wide horizon where the future is woven with deep love and a sacred purpose I have shaped uniquely for you. Nothing in your life is accidental. Even the rough stretches carry a meaning you cannot yet discern, but will understand when the time is ripe. The pain of the present moment may feel overwhelming, as though it fills every corner of your heart. But listen to me softly. Yet, clearly the wounds you carry today do not have the authority to define your tomorrow. They cannot be compared to the glory that is being prepared. A glory that is not loud yet enduring, not showy yet profound, built from my faithfulness and your inner growth. When you are exhausted, it is easy to believe that pain has the final word, but I whisper to you that pain is only a chapter, not the conclusion. Do not allow fear to close in around your heart. Fear has a way of distorting your vision, causing you to see the world through a warped lens where everything appears uncertain and dim. It murmurs doubts, making you forget the many times I lifted you up, the moments I made a way where there seemed to be none. When fear tries to take root, choose to walk in peace, not the peace that comes when everything is resolved, but the peace that comes from knowing I am present. Faith is not a fleeting emotion. It is the decision to stand firm even when emotions waver, the choice to trust even when the outcome is not yet visible. Stand upright, my child, not by your own strength, but by the strength I have placed within you. I do not call you to become hardened in the way the world demands. I invite you to become inwardly grounded, where your roots run deep into truth and love. Each time you feel as though you are about to collapse, remember that I am your unshakable foundation. You were never created to carry everything alone. You were created to walk in companionship. You have never stepped into anything by yourself. With every step you take, I walk with you. With every tear you shed, I do not turn away. I receive it with a tenderness beyond words. Every sigh that rises from the deepest places within you, I understand not with judgment, but with infinite compassion. I know what you cannot put into words, the weariness you hide behind a smile, the questions you carry in silence. Nothing within you is too small or too tangled for me. The moment you are living in now, even if it feels heavy, is still a gift. It is not only for you, but also for those around you. Through you, I am sowing seeds of kindness, patience, and love. Some may not remember the words you speak, but they will feel the warmth that flows from the way you are present. Some hearts will bloom simply because they have encountered the gentleness I am nurturing within you in the midst of trial. What I give you today is not a set of simple answers to fix what lies immediately before you, nor are they passing words of advice. I give you a treasury, a sacred storehouse of grace with the power to transform your entire life. Within this treasury is wisdom to help you discern what to hold on to and what to release, grace in abundance to heal old wounds and renew what has grown weary, and a quiet strength that enables you to keep walking when you believe you have reached your limit. These gifts do not pull you away from real life. Rather, they enrich every aspect of your existence. They open your eyes to beauty you once overlooked, deepen purpose in what once seemed ordinary, and teach you to recognize that even quiet days carry meaning. As you allow these gifts to permeate your thoughts and actions, you will be amazed at how I transform small things into forces that ripple outward. Remain in my presence, not through strained effort, but through simple openness of heart. As you remain, a deeper understanding of who I am will slowly unfold within you, not through abstract ideas, but through lived experience. You will begin to realize that I am not only the one who strengthens you in weakness, but also the one who rejoices with you in the small moments of joy and hope. Therefore, rejoice in every victory, whether great or small. Do not dismiss the quiet progress, the subtle shifts in how you respond, how you love, how you trust. Every victory, even those unseen by others, bears the mark of a faith being refined and a trust growing deeper in me. These victories are not merely outcomes. They are testimonies, witnesses to the journey you have walked, the perseverance you have kept, and the unbreakable bond between you and me. My child, do not let your heart be bound to the earthly things that have slipped from your hands. There are losses that leave you aching with regret, doors that have closed and made you wonder whether you have lost something you can never recover. But I want you to understand this clearly. What has departed from you did not leave because you were unworthy, but because it no longer fit the path I am opening before you. Your heart was not created to live off the memories of what has passed, but to receive far greater things that are waiting ahead, things you have never dared to dream of. Yet I have seen clearly for a very long time. Do not let the feeling of lack deceive you. Scarcity is not my intention for your life, nor is it the language I use to speak to you about your future. I did not place you in this moment of history, of life, of your personal journey without purpose. Every season you pass through carries a lesson, a preparation, a quiet inner expansion taking place within you. There are times when you feel as though you are standing in an in-between space, no longer holding what was familiar behind you, and not yet touching what is new ahead. Yet it is precisely this space that I use to renew you, to teach you deeper trust, and to shape your vision in ways you have never known before. You are not as alone as you think. Even when you feel weary, displaced, or misunderstood, I am still surrounding you with people I have placed intentionally in your life. Some support you through gentle words, others uphold you simply through their quiet presence. You may not yet recognize the full value of the environment you are in, but I have planted you in soil where faith can take root, where your spirit can grow through patience, perseverance, and trust. Not all growth is loud. Some roots grow deep underground, unseen by anyone. Yet they are what keep the tree standing firm when the storms come. Walk steadily in faith. My child, faith is not a denial of reality. It is the choice to place that reality within the light of a greater truth. In me, you will find a definition of success entirely different from the world's measurements. It is not a success that exhausts you through constant self-proof, but one that brings deep rest to your soul. Not pleasure mixed with pride, but pure joy that needs no comparison or display. Not outward fullness paired with inner emptiness, but a wholeness that flows from the roots and spreads through every rhythm of daily life. I do not call you to chase standards that cause you to lose yourself. I invite you into a rhythm of life where you are free to be who you truly are, not a version distorted by others' expectations, but the person I envisioned when I created you. As you learn to live within this rhythm, you will discover that abundance does not come from having more, but from living more rightly aligned with your values, your identity, and the calling I have placed within you. Speak aloud the truths I have declared over your life, not to convince others, but to remind yourself. The words you speak, whether out loud or in quiet, have the power to shape your inner world. As you allow truth to saturate your thoughts, the way you see life will gradually change. You will no longer see only limitations, but begin to recognize possibilities. You will no longer see only danger, but learn to discern opportunity. You will no longer be ruled by momentary fear, but guided by enduring truth. Truth does not distance you from reality. It enables you to stand firmly within it without being consumed. It teaches you what is worth holding close and what must be released. It helps you see others not merely through the lens of past wounds, but through compassion that has been healed. Above all, it reminds you that your worth does not rise and fall with circumstances, but is anchored securely in my unchanging love. Do not be afraid. My child, fear may knock at the door, but it has no right to stay unless you allow it. I am with you not as a distant idea, but as a living presence. I lift you when you feel small before your challenges. I cover you with everlasting love, a love not worn down by mistakes, not shaken by failure, and not limited by time. There will be moments when you do not feel me, but that does not mean I am absent. My faithfulness does not depend on your emotions. I am not a distant God, standing apart and observing your life from a safe remove. I am your closest companion, walking with you through radiant days and through long, silent nights. I am your shield when you face the arrows of doubt and criticism. I am the comforter when your heart grows weary, when you no longer have words to carry the weight you feel within. I am your protector, not only from dangers you can see, but from the quiet wounds that settle deep inside, the ones you cannot always name. So keep walking. My child, there is no need to rush, no need to be perfect, only be faithful. Every step you take in trust matters. Even when you do not see immediate results, I am at work in the silences, arranging things you do not yet know, and leading you toward a place your heart will recognize as home. Let me guide you, and let your heart rest in this truth: you are loved, you are protected, and you are on the right path, even if you cannot yet see the full picture I am painting over your life. My beloved child, even when you are standing in the blurred spaces of uncertainty, where questions have no answers and the road ahead has not yet taken shape, I am quietly building something wondrous. What I am doing is not limited by your ability to reason it out, nor confined to what you have already experienced. I work beyond human understanding, beyond the hurried pace of the world, and beyond the boundaries fear has drawn in your heart. You see only scattered fragments. I am weaving a harmonious whole, where every thread, even the thread of confusion, has its place. In days when everything feels unsure, I invite you into a role that is simple yet deeply powerful. Become a vessel for my love. A vessel does not need to be perfect or without flaw. It only needs to be open. When you allow my love to fill your heart, you will discover that it does not stop with you. it naturally overflows to those around you. There are souls worn thin by the grind of life. People so accustomed to fragile hope that they are afraid to believe again. You do not need grand words to reach them. Your gentle presence, nurtured by me, will be enough. Light will find its own way to spread. Become a lamp of hope. My child, not a glaring light that overwhelms others, but a steady light that shows the way through a long night. This lamp is lit through quiet faithfulness, through small daily choices, choosing patience over irritation, listening over judging, trust over closing your heart. You may not immediately see the impact of the light you carry, but trust this: there will be hidden moments when someone finds the courage to stand again simply because they glimpsed a faint glimmer of light in you. When you share this truth with those who are spiritually exhausted, remember that you are not called to explain everything or untangle every knot. You are called to remind them that I am at work even when they cannot see it, even when they struggle to believe it. I act in ways that are not easily predicted, that do not follow familiar human logic. Some doors I open not by force, but by perseverance. Some changes I bring about not with loud displays, but through slow, inward transformation. My ways are not your ways, and I know this can sometimes confuse you. You long for immediate clarity. I lead you through a process. You want swift results. I tend carefully to the roots. But trust that my ways are always perfect, not by your standards of comfort, but by my far-seeing wisdom. Some things, if they came too soon, would break you. Some blessings, if given before you are ready, would become burdens. Because I love you, I choose the timing. Because I understand you, I choose the manner. Let this assurance settle deeply into your soul. Do not allow it to merely pass through your mind as a comforting thought. Instead, give it permission to take root in the deepest place of who you are. When this assurance is firmly rooted, it will give birth to peace, not a peace that comes because everything has been resolved, but a peace that comes from knowing you are not abandoned in the process. It will give rise to confidence, not confidence grounded in your own abilities, but confidence anchored in my faithfulness. From there, a steady trust will be formed, enabling you to stand firm even when the ground beneath your feet seems to be shifting. Know this: tomorrow, and every day that follows, I will remind you again of my faithfulness. I do not grow weary of repeating this, because I know how easily your heart forgets when pressure mounts. It may come as a gentle whisper in the silence, or through a person who appears at just the right moment, or through a memory awakened when you are at your weakest. I remind you not to make you dependent, but to make you steadfast in the truth that I do not change. No matter how many times circumstances do, my devotion has no limits. I do not love you in stages, nor do I walk with you only when you are strong or fully faithful. I remain when you doubt, when you are weary, and even when you feel you have nothing left to offer. My love is not measured by performance, but by enduring presence. And it is this very presence that quietly nourishes your soul, even when you are unaware of it. May this understanding become a refuge for you. When the world around you grows loud, return to this truth and be comforted. When your spirit feels weighed down, let this truth sustain you with boundless peace, a peace that cannot be drained by circumstances. From that peace, new strength will rise. Not the strained strength of forcing yourself onward, but a gentle yet resilient strength that enables you to keep moving without losing yourself. You do not need to see the entire path in order to take the next step. You only need to trust that every step you take in faith is being guarded by me. Even in the midst of uncertainty, something miraculous is still being built, not in some distant place, but within the very process you are living through. Let your heart rest in me. Let the light you carry not grow dim, and let my love flow through you as a quiet invitation to the world around you that hope still remains, that faithfulness is still at work, and that there is not a single day you walk in which I am not with you. Thank you for listening to today's message. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we may receive the living word. Build a steadfast faith and walk in the boundless love of the Lord. Amen.